Let's face it, data can sometimes feel a little daunting. So today I'm going to give you the 5 numbers that you should be checking other than revenue for your client's next launch. Well, hey there. Today we are getting down and dirty with data. Now, I know that even for the launch managers that I coach inside of my program, the Legendary Launch Manager Certification, data can feel overwhelming. Often we come in with these preconceived notions that we're not great with numbers and we're confused about calculations straight out the gate. So today I want to make it a little bit easier for you. I'm going to give you the 5 numbers that you should be tracking in your client's next launch other than revenue, because we already know that we're tracking revenue. Yes. Let's get down to it, starting with number 1. Number 1 is open rates. So during a launch, there are going to be a ton of emails that you're sending. You're sending sales invite emails, sales reminder emails, confirmations, sales emails, all of the things, close cart, open cart, yada, yada, bonuses. Yes, there's a lot, right? And so we want to make sure that we know which emails are getting opened and which emails are not getting opened, because that is going to help us inform what kinds of subject lines and what kinds of emails we are sending the next launch and the next launch and the next launch. Now, launches are all cumulative, right? They're all about improving launch after launch after launch. And so if we are tracking and we're looking at, do emails that have questions in the beginning of them do better? That sort of thing. We're going to be able to tell a story to our client and be able to support them in saying, story emails work best for you, or emails with lots of testimonials work really great for your audience. And that way we know what kinds of emails you want to include and what kind of emails maybe you don't want to include or you want to include less of within your next launch. Moving on to number 2, which is click-through rate. So click-through rate is once a person has opened the email, are they actually clicking through to the links to do the thing, right? It's great that people are opening the emails, that they're reading them, but if they're not taking action, that's not really helping you or your client. And so we want people to be clicking through to take the next step, to register for the webinar, to register for the challenge, to buy the thing, right? All of those things. So with click-through rate, we are tracking what is the percentage of people who are actually doing the next step, taking the next action. Now, when click-through rate is low, it often means a couple things. First of all, it should be noted that click-through rate is a little bit harder to track now because of the changes in privacy with the Apple iOS update about a year or 2 years ago. And so click-through rate isn't as accurate as it used to be, but still we can use it to kind of gauge and have a gauge between what our normal click-through rate is for emails, maybe like nurture emails that your client is sending on a regular basis. Hopefully they're sending emails on a regular basis, and what the uptick or downtick is for when they're sending those emails related to their sales event and their open cart. So when we're looking at click-through rate, we want to make sure that if we see that the click-through rate is getting lower, that usually means that, and it's probably going to get lower than like their normal newsletter and everything, right? So we always see kind of a downtick in opens and even click-throughs during a launch. That is normal. And unsubscribes. That is normal too. However, we want to make sure that it's not too low. And if it is, then that could be an indication that maybe the call to action on those emails isn't strong enough for people to feel compelled to take action, right? So we want to make sure that your client is aware of that, because that can be a copywriting thing that either they hire a copywriter to support them to make it a little bit juicier in terms of the copy and the content and the cause to take action, or if they're doing it on their own, they can just work on improving that call to action and the desire to take action within those emails. Number 3, sales event page conversion. So most launches have a sales event that kind of introduce the audience to the concept of whatever is going to be sold. Most common sales events are webinars, challenges, the like, those sorts of things, summits even, right? And so those are things that your client's community needs to opt into, needs to go to a page, register for, and hopefully attend. We're going to be talking about that in a second, right? So it needs to do those things. So we like to see between a 25 to 40% page conversion for anything that is free. So for that sales event, we're looking at 25 to 40%. Now, if that is lower than that 25%, then it could mean a couple things. It could be copy related. It could be that the page is not really mobile friendly, and so people are having trouble like actually signing up for the thing. It could mean that there's not enough buttons for people to actually enroll. It could mean that in terms of copy, once again, that there's not a strong enough reason for them to compel themselves to actually sign up. It can mean a lot of different things. And so we want to start slowly is the key, playing with those different things on that page if the page isn't converting as we want it to. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if we want to try making some copy changes, we make those changes, we wait until at least 100, preferably more than that, but it depends on the size of your client's audience. At least 100 people go through and look at that page again, and we see if it increases. If it increases, huzzah, we solve the problem. If it doesn't increase, then maybe we want to start making some tweaks to the actual design of the page and making sure that it is designed in a way that is cohesive, that is nice to view, basically. That's not a really good explanation of it, but you know what I mean. We want to make sure that everything is cohesive and that it is high converting. So we're making those small tweaks first, usually to copy, then to actual design, to see if we can get a higher conversion rate on that page. Okay, we are up to number 4, and number 4 is sales event show up rate. So people have actually opted into your client's webinar. That is amazing. Now we actually have to get them to show up. And over the last couple of years, it has been harder to get people to actually show up to the sales event. Why? Because people are overwhelmed. They already know that they're going to be pitched to. And so it becomes harder for people to say yes to attending, right? A couple things that you can support your client in doing to make sure that sales event show up rate stays high. First thing that you can do is make sure that they are sending enough reminder emails. Second thing you can do is make sure that they're not just sending reminder emails that happen 24 hours, an hour before, 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before, right? That sort of thing, but that they are nurturing that audience once the audience signs up for the sales event. So often registration starts about 10 days to 2 weeks before the actual sales event. So imagine if somebody signs up for something and then doesn't hear from you again until the day before the event. Not good, right? So we want to make it juicy and send those emails that explain why this is going to be so amazing. Why should they show up for this webinar live? What are they going to learn? What are they going to leave with, right? How is it going to change their perspective on XYZ thing? So if we do those things, coupled with another thing that you could do is do text messaging, right? Something like that, to make sure that people are engaged and they are reminded, because we're busy, that they are reminded about the sales event, you will see a higher show up rate. So that show up rate is a percentage of the total number of people who signed up for the sales event. That show up rate is going to be who actually signed up for the sales event. So if I have 100 people who signed up for the sales event and 40 people actually attend, my show up rate is 40%, which is pretty darn amazing. We look for, in most industries, we're looking for anywhere between 20 to 30% of a show up rate is a really good show up rate for a client's sales event. Moving on to number 5. Number 5, last but certainly not least, is sales page conversions. Now, this is a thing that we want, right? This is a thing that makes our clients money and makes our clients happy when people are actually buying their thing. And so we want to look at sales page conversions to make sure that the page is actually converting. Now, sales page conversions, depending on industry, it's a pretty wide range, can be anywhere from 2 to 10%. The important thing is twofold. Number 1 is the page is converting, but number 2, we're also looking to make sure that enough people are actually going to the sales page to give it a good college try, right? So if you only have 10 people actually ending up going to the sales page, that is not a big enough number to have enough conversions. We want to make sure that our client is getting a pipeline of people seeing the sales page, making sure that they have the opportunity to sell their community. So what does that mean? That means that if we're seeing that that page view number is low, your client needs to up the ante when it comes to getting people to that page. more emails, more visibility on social media, more personal outreach maybe. Those sorts of things need to be happening in a larger number so that more people see the offer, can go to the sales page and decide yes or no. Then once we have enough people actually going to the page, then we can start looking at that on-page conversion. Like I said, anywhere between 2 and 10%. Yes, yes? Okay, I hope this was super helpful. I actually have a free download, a free resource for you that is going to be all about metrics, and it dives into 10 metrics that you can be looking at for your client for their next launch. In this workbook, I'm not just going to show you what those 10 metrics are, but I break down how to do each one of the conversions because, once again, data can be daunting. Until next time, my friends.